it all starts for me. I have to get to this, and Keith, we're going to dive in a second, but you're going to have to deal with this because these are the people that are greeting you here today. It starts with my dear friend Bob Eathouse, the longtime radio voice of the Coyotes. But Bob, your first gig was the post-game show host, a job, by the way, that I turned down because I didn't want to go anywhere near it. But the validation on the radio back in the day when fans were leaving America West Arena, listening to Coyote games and listening to you, there were two forms of validation. I thought, first of all, one of them was the captain, because he wasn't just listening, was he, Bob? What was he doing?
He would call in. I mean, it was amazing. I want to go back to the fact that, I had never done a talk show before. I was a minor pro play-by-play guy, and I had an opportunity to get on an NHL broadcast. They said, you can do the intermissions and you can host the post game. And I said, well, okay, where do I sign up? I had never done that before, so I didn't know what I was doing a post game call-in show. But I'll tell you what, when Keith would call in from time to time, it really legitimized that show and said, maybe for Coyotes fans, hey, maybe this is worth a listen, and then obviously Tom took it to another level.
Yes, Tom Labonte is AKA Tom from Chandler back in the day. First of all, Keith, you remember calling in to Heater, right? On the post game on the way home?
Yeah, we had fun with it. It was a long drive home, and why not? I think it's great for the fans. We get to talk to. I mean, the game just got over a few minutes before that, good or bad. You always got to have fun with it a little bit, and the rest of us lived a long way away, so we had to make the most of it. And Heater was always good to talk to, and it helped Heater out too. And like I said, through good times and bad times, it's good to have players dig in and be involved with the community and the team. That goes a long way.
And
well,
Bob,
Keith, I'm able to thank you enough, Keith, for doing that, because like I said, I really was new at that medium, and I really didn't have any credibility with the Coyotes fans, but you really went a long way to help me to gain that. And it was so great to have you call in and talk. And obviously Shane was a young pup then, but obviously as he developed and went on in his career, he's been so gracious to me his entire career. So Todd, these two guys that you have today, along with Tom, are certainly three of my favorites, and three guys that really have been so great to me and have helped me so much.
Was there anybody more passionate than Tom from Chandler, in particular after a rough loss? Anyone, ever?
No. And again, I really didn't know all the rules of a talk show host. I didn't know I was supposed to cut my caller off when it got a little bit too long or too spicy. And so I just, came on, and Tom would go, and his great hot takes and his rants, it would be must listen for Coyotes fans. So, I mean, Big Walt legitimized the show because he listened and called in, and then Tom made it must listen for Coyotes fans because of, his passion. And after a big win, there was no one happier than Tom. And we talked about that. And after a tough loss, there was nobody more upset, disappointed, and hot than Tom. And we talked about that too.
And Shane, he had to.
Hey, Todd, he was all upset. Got to play the donor. Got to play the donor. The donor. The donor.
You had your first ambassador, Shane, was Tom from Chandler, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. He was my first ambassador. That was one of those things that, like he said, it was so cool back then when we came here to the Valley, and we were all experiencing it for the first time, kind of being in the Southwest and the different fans and everything. And just what Keith did and the way that he handled that whole situation was exactly why he was such a leader in our room. And as a guy that to this day, people, like, as everyone will say, everyone follows Walt. He has that ability and that personality to be domineering and yet at the same time thoughtful and caring. And that is exactly who he is, and why it was so cool to watch and see him handle those situations and lead us that way. But that's a simple thing that meant so much to me too, as a player. I'd be listening and I'd hear Walt on there, and it was one of those things that was so cool. And again, just an example of the type of man he is.
So I have to jump in real quick.
I hope so, yeah.
Because I have to apologize to Heater. Because if anybody owes him an apology, it's me, because boy, did I give him a rough time. But in my defense, I just want to let, I know Keith and Shane are friends with a lot of opposing teams, But, you know, you guys never had to sit in the stands when it was red with those. I don't even want to mention their names. They're from a city that is like horrible to go to. No one wants to live there. You know, and I think it's called Detroit. I never liked them. And I'll tell you something. I got like I have to go into a story here. I was wearing my jersey. Someone tried to throw an octopus on the ring. I got incensed. I grabbed it and I ran up the stairs, and some Red Wing fans followed me. Well, they didn't like the fact, because I guess octopuses are expensive. I don't know these things, but you know, long story short, this is where I met one of the biggest repo guys in the Phoenix Valley. Dale makes Big Walt look like a small guy. And these two guys who were monsters came up to me and said, "We want to kick your ass. You took that octopus." And I said, "You don't throw an octopus on Coyote ice." So they were about ready. And then Dale said, "Is there a problem here?" And he had two of the guys that work with them. Oh my God, it was like a WWE segment. From that day, Dale and I have been buddies, but I just had to jump in there and let you guys know that you had no idea of what it was like in the stands when Detroit came to town. Sorry, Todd.
No, I'm glad you did that, Tom. Listen, I just wanted to have all of us together to start Keith's journey here in our final one-on-one conversation, because you are all connected. And Tom, to be brutally honest, the moment that Keith popped up and Shane popped up and Bob popped up, and the look on your face is the reason that I still get up in the morning and do this stuff, because that just
that's really kind, Todd. You know, I owe you an apology too, because I was a real jerk sometimes. You know, it's okay to say that now. You know, I'm older now. You know, I was a jerk to the Heater. I love this guy. Heater is awesome.
No.
You know, and I used to give him such a hard time. I'll never forget Big Walt's driving home one night, and we had a tough loss. And Walt, God, I was so nasty. I was so livid. And Walt picked up the phone, and Heater goes to him. He goes, "Hey, did you hear Tom?" And I'm like, oh my God, it's the first time that it clicked that like these guys actually listened. And I thought that the next time Keith saw me, he was going to like check me or something, but you know, it was all good. So, you know,
hey, we love the passion, Tom. We love the passion. We love the passion. Hey, Peter gets paid the big bucks to listen to guys who are passionate about the game, and we deserve it a lot. We do. We have some bad nights, and it's okay. You came to watch us play. You supported us, and we understand that. That's why we love you, buddy.
Well, you know, Big Walt, and Todd's going to get mad at me because I'm going to do this. You know, I give the donor a hard time because he doesn't give me his phone number. I need your number too. You know, we need to keep.
All right, we got to go. Time to go. Tom, I love you. You'll always be a part of.
See, that's it. I'm done. I'm done now.
That's right. Cross the line. Tom, we love you. Thank you for doing this, man. I wanted you to be a part of this.
All right. I'm sorry. Hey, donor, thank you for everything. Keith, thank you for everything. Heater, God, I love you, Heater. When I come back, I'm coming back to see like how my house is starting in another month, and maybe we can get together. I'll go. I'll leave you. Let's go, Coyotes. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bob, thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, you're welcome. Great to see you, Tom. Great to see you, Walt, donor. Thanks again, guys.
Heater, thanks, buddy. Heater, thank you.
Thank you, Walt. Appreciate it.
See you, Heater. See you, Walt.
Shane, real quick before I let you go, I know you got to go. You're justice of the peace somewhere today, I'm guessing. But what did Keith Tkachuk mean to you as a young player? You're a guy that was sent down to the minor leagues before it all really got rolling. What did he mean to you as a leader and as a teammate?
You know what? It was one of those things that I didn't appreciate it at the time as much as I did when Walt was gone, because I assumed that everyone, like all the great players, were like Keith. Like all the great players cared and relished their responsibility as kind of the leader of the team the way he did. And it wasn't until I got older and I started to meet all these other great players that I'm like, how fortunate I was to have Walt as a captain, to have him and Teppo as the two guys that I was kind of following behind. You can't even express it. And then to see his family and to see his kids and everything, you start to recognize how incredible a man he was. And so for me, as great as a player he was, he led the league in goals 2 years back to back. absolutely 50-goal scorer, but was as tough as anyone when he fought Darian Hatcher, when he did all the things that he'd always do for every one of his teammates. I mean, you can't even begin to express how much of a influence it had on my approach to the game. And to be able to have him as a friend is probably one of the coolest things about playing in the NHL.
And then you had to play against him.
That wasn't fun. So that was always, I was just a little bit uncomfortable. Walt had the ability to make everyone he played against uncomfortable. And he did that. And that was the best part. And I love that. That was the part that he bettered. That was who he was. And that's what that's what you expected.
Here's what Chris King said about Keith: an adventure every night. Nobody played like him. He was a pain in the ass. He never took a night off. People changed the way they played because of him. That's a generational player, isn't that, Shane?
Well, as a group of power forwards coming into the game, kind of after Keith, Keith was just a little ahead of us. We all wanted to be like Walt, not even just his play, but his demeanor and his personality. It's bigger than life, and it is. I don't know. He's Big Walt, and I don't know how else to explain it, because and I don't care, guys I never played with, guys that he never played with. If you say Big Walt, they all are smile. There's an instant smile. Oh, I met him one time. I heard this about him. I heard that about him, and it's all true. It is. He is all of it, and it's probably the best part.
Keith, did you see any of this coming for Shane back in the day? The longevity and just the way he went about his business. Did you see it developing?
Well, you know what? He was one of those players where, he was young, and he was really young when he came in, and you knew he was a bull in a china shop. He was a big farm boy. But to be able to play that long was incredible. You have to do a lot of things to help yourself and stay healthy and take care of yourself. And he's one of those guys that does that. And I don't know how many games he finished with over 1,500 games.
Yeah, somewhere just over 50.
Yeah, that's incredible. To do it with one franchise is even more special. I know your teammates loved you, I loved you, and I know the fans loved you, and you developed a great relationship. And the best part about you is your family. And I don't want to pick out one person in particular, but your son Josh, I've been hearing great things about. And I always look at all my friends' kids, whether they're playing USHL or college, and find out, or major junior, and smartest thing he ever did was send him to the USHL, and obviously he's going to be staying at home in Arizona State, who I love those coaches there, and he's doing an excellent job. And it's a great time for you and your family. I'm telling you, it's great to there's nothing better than watch your kids play sports. It's not just Josh, it's anyone. It's like when I'm watching my daughter, there's nothing better than watching your kids play sports. It's just so much fun, and I'm glad you're a family guy and you've been able to do that. That's the most important thing in life, and I'm glad. Hopefully we can cross paths again soon. I mean, it's good seeing you, and I appreciate you doing this. This is really nice. This is a hell of a way to start this podcast, Todd. This is a great job. We got Heater, we got
Tom
from Chandler. I mean, I know, and then the donor.
I got one more, Shane, if you don't mind, before I let you go. Can you handle one more?
Yes, of course.
It's to both of you. This is just me observing you guys along the way. I wonder, even to this day, how you have moved on from the day-to-day life of a National Hockey League player. I'm not talking about the games. I'm talking about coffee in the morning, hanging out with Stan, bus rides, off days on the road, battling back from injury, moments with your teammates. I'll start with you, Keith. How in the world did you move on from that? I have a real hard time imagining it.
It's difficult. When it first happens, that first year, it's really tough. I think for both Shane and I, and for some guys, not all guys, at least we had kids at an age where you could have jumped right in, and whether it's school, I experienced father-daughter dance the other night. But it's tough when you do something every day with the same group of people. You're missing holidays, you're away on birthdays, you're away on different things, and it's difficult. And you're doing the same things. You're on the road, you wake up, you practice, you play the games, you do this, you have a beer with the guys, play cards, you're on the airplane. So it is difficult. It really is. But I'm fortunate to have a great wife and 3 great kids, that I got to spend a lot of time with and do that. And that kind of just developed me into my new career as a dad and a husband. So there's nothing better than the game of hockey. Nothing better than, going through the wins with Shane and even through the losses and the ups and downs. And, Dally Drake gets hit. Who were the first two guys? Garth first three, Ronick, Donor, Chris King, Jim McCann. We had, it was so much fun. And those are the things I'll never forget. That's what I love about the game. And I love playing out in Arizona. It was so much fun. And we had some good teams there. Couldn't quite get to the next level, but, it was a great to sell the game there. And, it was a lot of fun playing with guys like Donor and JR and Teppo and all these guys. And Stan Wilson, one of the best trainers in the league. And I used to harass him like a madman. We still talk quite a bit. And, there's nothing more important than trainers. They go through a lot worse than we do. And they, I know how much the players care about them. I know I certainly did.
Shane, did you ever shed it? Have you shed it? The playing part mentally, emotionally?
Yeah, I think it's kind of, I view it sounds kind of weird, but you view it like it's a loved one that's gone. Like, and you're never ever, yeah, I don't think you ever really totally get over that idea of it being gone, but at the same time, you know that it's part of the way, life goes, and you can't do it anymore. And as much as you want to kind of think that you might have been able to do it, it was definitely time. So, but I agree with Walt. I was so fortunate to have my family at the ages that they were, and the ability to kind of step into that and enjoy that side of it. The going to the rink and coaching my son's team was a huge part of those first couple of years. Going to daddy-daughter dances, I did a couple of them, and it's all those things that you'd missed that you tried to catch back up on. And there is nothing. I think the parts that I missed the most was the that challenge and the competition, that you can't get anywhere else. And as someone like Walt, as you watch him playing his whole style and the way that he was, that competition drove him. And that's, you always miss that, but at the same time, it's life changes, and you got to understand that. And now I'm enjoying what I get to do now, and I enjoy getting to be going this weekend to watch Josh play in the USHL. I never would have been able to do that. So that's something that I'm excited. Watch my daughter's plays, go over and watch her perform, watch my kids do dance recitals, stuff that as a dad that you were forced to give up for a long time, you get to do. And so you kind of balance that between them both. So
Done it well. Captain Shane Doan, thank you for doing this. And
hey.
you made Tom's life today, right?
Yeah, well, I think the big Walt, that's special, man. Anytime Big Walt comes on anything, it has an effect on people's lives. So
I will say this: I've done a bunch of these now, and this was the only one that I knew for certain everyone was going to be on time or early, and that's not a coincidence that it was for Keith Tkachuk, right, Shane?
Yeah.
There's no way. I was getting stressed out. I went, wait a minute, I can sit down and they're going to be there. I know it. So Thank you for doing that, Shane. I'll see you.
Thanks, Donor. Appreciate it, buddy.
Hey, you're the best, man. Congratulations. Enjoy.
All
Good
right.
luck to Chicago, buddy. Good luck.
Yeah. Hey, no, not a bad Gordie Howe the other night too. I know he was disappointed in the fight, but how fun was that?
Yeah, we would have liked a little longer fight, but hey, he'll take it. He was so pumped. He called me right after the game.
I was sure of it. Walt will send me a text of like my son doing something. He's such a good man that way, and his kids have been amazing. So it's so fun to watch and live through them. So thanks, big man. Take care.
All right, see you, bud.
Thanks, Shane. All right, Keith. How do we do on your greeters?
I'll tell you, it was touching, buddy. I was caught off guard. I mean, all those guys. Obviously, Todd, I've known you for a long time, and Tom from Chandler. You gotta love the passion that he brought. I mean, it makes you feel pretty good as a player knowing that people are into it, and you feel for them, because when you don't perform, and it doesn't affect you, it affects a lot of people. And then a guy like here who's grown into starting from, both of you guys started at the bottom of the barrel and what you've done for the passion of the game of hockey and moved up with the Coyotes, and it's great to see. And obviously Shane Doan, who's is just an incredible person, incredible teammate, and being fortunate to play with him for a lot of years and seeing what he's done and has grown as a guy and as a player. It's awesome. It's just really touching. I appreciate that.
Well, can we go through a few things? Because you're the cleanup hitter in this whole series. I brought something from I call it Todd's Garage. I was trying to come up with something I've never asked you. I don't think I have. So it's this card, and this is the original Walt Tkachuk of the Rangers. And I remember, Keith, back in the day, we would get calls at KDKV, the radio home of the Coyotes. They were novice fans, new to the whole thing, and they didn't get the whole hockey nickname thing. And people would ask me why they called you Walt. Have you ever met? Have you guys ever been in the same room?
I've never met. It's spelled differently, which is
yes, right.
But Eddie O's the one who gave me that nickname.
I heard that.
Yeah, I got a little beef with Eddie. He gave me the wrong horses for the Kentucky Derby, but I still love it. So I haven't made that phone call yet. No, but Eddie O, when I first got to Winnipeg, I played with guys like Randy Carlisle, obviously Phil Housley, Troy Murray, Eddie O, a lot of older, real qualified people. And then I just walked in and Eddie goes, "Hey, your nickname's Walt." Okay. I was like, I don't know who Walt is, but why Walt? Then I figured it out. He told me why.
That's awesome. Before we talk about your sons, can I just ask how your daughter's doing? The last thing I heard, she single-handedly won a high school championship in field hockey on one leg. Maybe the most.
She got a great pass from her teammate and scored a goal in overtime. But what's special about that is, we won 1-0. They won 1-0. Our boys were in town. It was on her birthday. It was Halloween. I mean, she scores a game-winning goal in overtime, and it was senior in high school. Great way to end it. Win 3 championships in 4 years. It was so much fun. She was so proud to do it, and she was a little banged up because of her leg, but she wanted to do something really special, and she wanted to do it in front of her brothers. That was the most important. She wanted to show them that, hey, I know you guys play in the NHL, but I'm pretty okay too.
Awesome. I'll never forget interviewing Matthew in our first visit to Calgary, and we went out to the bench. It was just he and I and a cameraman. And I think I told your wife this. It was hard for me to look him in the eye because he is you.
Yeah,
I just remember it's so mind-boggling to me. But how do you absorb the drama of all this unfolding right in front of you? You're the living embodiment. They're the living embodiment of you, I should say, in the league. They're keeping your game alive, I think, in so many ways, Keith, by the way they play. Do you see that? Do you feel it?
First of all, they make it interesting. I know that. But I gotta believe, like, guys like you and all the people that I've got to know in the business of hockey must be like, oh my God, we got another one here. Like, it's just weird. It's because they're kids when you guys, they were born in Arizona, both the boys. So born in Scottsdale, and now to see them play. But it's so much fun, to be able to, on most nights, to watch them play. It's incredible. It's a little more nerve-wracking, as a parent watching your kid play than it was, playing yourself. And I know Chantal felt like that because she was running around with 2 kids at the time when I was playing in Arizona before my daughter was born, really not concentrating on what I was doing. But now I see it in her eyes that, she gets pretty amped up and excited and nervous to watch them. But they're living the dream, and they got there because they worked hard, not because of their last name. And they're trying to make an impact. And I don't know, I just love watching them play. I just so much fun.
Was there one thing that you taught all 3 of them about just competition, or something that you wanted to see of them?
Well, I say this all the time. Parents might tell their kids, we met some, great people in youth hockey. We met some nutbags, but who, I don't know what they tell their kid, but I asked Matthew and Brady what I tell them. It's 2 things: compete and be a good teammate. And I'm not going to tell you to skate hard or do this or do that, but, or pass this. I just compete and be a good teammate. And they try to do that. And I think those are the 2 most important qualities you need as a player. And, if you do that, good things will happen.
1 draft pick away, both of them.
I heard the Coyotes were going to pass on Brady. So
Yeah, well, the guy that
you
said
never
that,
know. You never know. I've been in those meetings, Todd. I get it. I get it. It happens. Every team has a different way of looking at things, but everything happens for a reason, and that's the way it is.
that guy's no longer in the league. The guy that said that. I'll move on. Can I just turn back the clock a little bit? Were you on the flight? I've asked everybody this, from Winnipeg during the All-Star break to come down here and check out.
Yes, I was.
Okay. What's your first memory of that? Getting off the plane. It's Arizona. It's not Winnipeg, all due respect, and it's going to be your new home, probably.
It was, I mean, we weren't dressed for it, for sure. It was interesting, but we got down there, and I mean, it was just like, whoa. Like, we went from, and Winnipeg, I don't care what anybody says, it's a great place to play. Yeah, it's cold, but you know what? They're passionate fans up there. But you get off the plane, you're like, wow. And then when you spend a couple of quality days there, you're like, wow, this could be really, really good. And we're looking forward to this. And, I think we started off, I mean, I think we were just there for the weekend. Was it I forget what it was, All-Star break or something?
I think it was All-Star break, yeah.
Yeah, but it was nice. We did some nice things. The Coyotes, the ownership, we had things planned out and everything was good. We spent a lot of good time together and, investigating different things, but it was really impressive. Just seeing the environment, the weather was nice, just the different kind of buildings that you're not used to playing in Winnipeg.
You mentioned this with Shane, but you guys did so much more than just play the game. You had to sell the game. Zamboni parades, Coyote caravans, street hockey clinics all over the place. I was talking to Teppo about this, and he said that it actually brought you guys even closer together. You had a communal experience as a group, all pulling on the same rope. Do you think he's right?
Absolutely. I mean, like it was new. We're all like, you're just thrown into this, and you had to do a lot of things to kind of sell the game. And almost every day from the time we got settled there, whatever, whatever the first day was, we all went down there. Guys went down at different times. But yeah, we did the marketing, but this is, I don't know when JR got there, but JR got there soon after we started, maybe in training camp.
Yeah, he was late. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the players had to do a lot of things, but it was well worth it. And then when you get a name like Jeremy Roenick, I think was critical for the franchise because JR, there's nobody better at selling the game than him, and he did a great job. There's just swagger, and whether it was Donor doing this or Teppo doing this or myself doing this, you had to all chip in, and I think it was a great thing. And you saw America West Arena. It was it was fun. It was a great building, a lot of energy.
You guys were the hottest ticket in town. You were the new shiny object, but you were entertaining. Like you said, you had legitimate superstars in the sport. People adored you. You guys won the market. If I recall, I was there. I watched it. It had to be fun going out there every night. And you were a tough out. The Coyotes were not a pushover, Keith, and not on any night that you were on the ice. But that must have been fun to go into that arena and know that you had a crew behind you cheering you on.
And it was funny, like Tom from Chandler said, is the Detroit thing. There was a lot of people from the Michigan area, so that the Chicago, and even when Canadian teams came down, there was a lot of people from Alberta and British Columbia coming down. So, but we had a great support system there. I mean, everything just fell into place so quickly. It was almost like you didn't know anybody, you're thrown into it, selling the game, playing the game, entertaining the fans and getting to know the fans. It was a fun experience. It really was.
I've done this trick to everybody, but I got to do it to you. What's that Kachina mean to you, Keith? What is it? What does it take?
It's an amazing jersey. I'll tell you right now, it was the heaviest jersey ever. Oh my God. When that thing would get wet, is it the same material? Is it?
Yeah, remember he had to cut the neck, right?
Oh, it was. I even begged. I think our president was Sean
Hunter.
Sean Hunter. I said, "Hey, Sean, can we wear those green jerseys on the road in the playoffs at some point, or whoever?" Because the other jerseys were so heavy, like it was brutal. Like you play a game and all the water, whether you're sweating, drinking, it just got brutally. But it's an awesome design though. I really love it. I love when the Coyotes wear it now.
Yeah, I'm glad it's back. I have to ask you, you helped me out big time. You blessed our goofy section because
Oh,
the obstructive view seats were a problem, and we tried to turn a problem into a positive. We called it the doghouse. We had a concert. I know you guys heard the music. I know you heard the goofy fans. You saw the costumes. You got hurt, Keith. I'll never forget. I have the video of it. You walking up into the doghouse. You are a man of the people.
my
You blessed it.
sorry, Tom. My boys saw that video and they laughed their butts off. Like the accent, the suit, being up there. It was. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, but you didn't blink, man. I remember asking you, will you come up? And everybody was like, we can't take the captain. And you came up, and I'll never ever forget that you did that. But I mean, you can imagine what the fans thought when you walked up there. I mean, you had them forever, Keith.
That was funny. Yeah. Oh, I remember that place. That was an interesting setup. That whole dynamics of that building, but
It
it was
was
a fun building to play in.
the first whiteouts, there was a question, would the Coyotes continue that tradition? It was Winnipeg's, and they did. And everyone I've talked to is just, they were blown away. What about you? When you hit the ice that first home game against Anaheim in the first year and then moving on, what do you remember most?
It was incredible. It just gives you that extra juice to that jump to do as well as you can. And, they were outstanding. It really, really was. And it was just so unfortunate because we felt we should have won that series. And
Yep.
it would have been nice to keep that thing going. But the atmosphere, just jumping on the ice and warm-ups and, puck drop, the place was so loud. It was a great building. And, we gave them, I think we won we lost this game 6. But, it was a heck of a series. And it's just too bad it ended that quickly.
You had Anaheim on the ropes. You had the Cup champs, Detroit up 2-1.
Yeah.
St. Louis still breaks my heart. What do you think was missing?
3-1, that hurt.
What was missing from those first 3 years, Keith, that you couldn't get over the hump? Do you think?
It's just when you have a team down, you got to find a way to just to end it, and we just couldn't finish it off. We ran into some injuries one year. But you have some great teams. I mean, Detroit back then, Detroit was a tough out no matter what. I mean, they had some great teams with Yzerman, Fedorov, Shanahan, all the Russians. I mean, they were stacked. They were tough to beat. Then you got the Colorado, which we just couldn't keep up to them. But the Anaheim series losing in Game 7, that hurt because we felt we deserved better than that. And then the St. Louis series, and they were a great team. I think we lost we're up 3-1. We lost games 5 and 7 in overtime at home. I mean, we lost 1-0 in Game 7. You got to find a way to score. And that's the way, it was tough, but, we played in a tough Western Conference. That's for sure. Colorado, Dallas, and, Detroit and St. Louis. It was tough. It really was.
Jamie Expletive Rivers comes to mind in Game 5 on the breakaway. We've talked about that. When did you know Jeremy was going to play in Game 7? Do you remember any of that day?
He told us that, he could probably, that he might come back. We kind of knew that was a possibility. And it was tough because he was, he hasn't skated and he was all, messed up. And I think if we have a healthy JR in that series, I think we win. I mean, he just, he elevates his game. He plays with that passion. He's skilled, but also physical. And, missing him was a big hole for our team.
Speaking of Jeremy, I watched the video this morning. You never hesitated. It was your job and yours alone to get Darian Hatcher, wasn't it?
Yeah. It happened the previous year. And, I kind of went after Hatcher in the press and knew that the next game that we're going to have to fight and, and wanted to, because that's what you got to do. You got to stand up for your teammates. And he was a tough guy to fight, man. He was so big and so long, it was hard. He almost looks like, throwing at air, but he was a tough guy. But, hey, that's the way the game goes. You have to stand up for your teammates, and JR would have done the same for me.
All right. So can you confirm what Jeremy told me about the rules that you gave him, the 2 rules?
Yeah, 2 rules. Number 1, get the puck to big Walt. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1. Yeah.
Thank you. However, I want to get to your relationship. Everyone seemed to want to have an opinion about it, but now looking back, he was very introspective. He said we were two very stubborn guys, but obviously he'd take a bullet for you, and you did take one for him. Looking back on it, what was your relationship like then, and what is it now?
Well, it was great then. We had dinner a lot together. We spent a lot of time together, and it's even better now. I mean, just because we were, we're both from Boston. He tried to drag me up to the Quebec Major Junior League when I was a kid instead of going to college. I said, no, I'm basically going to college. But I looked up to Jay. He was a couple years older than me, and he grew up in the same area. And he was the toast of the town. Played such a great player. And then getting a chance to play with him after playing against him when he's with Chicago was awesome. And you don't appreciate a guy like JR, when you see what he does. He does his dancing on the ice, but he interacts with the fans, he sells a game. And now you look back and he did a great job of doing that stuff. And I miss him on TV right now because I think he was awesome for the game. He's excited, he cares, he's passionate, and that's what you want in the game in the NHL. And I miss him. I miss not seeing him on TV.
I'm about to land the plane here, and thank you for hanging. But Dallas Drake said the other day he wished that you guys had stayed together a little longer.
Yeah.
And I was listening to an old interview this morning that you and I did in Ottawa after the whole Carolina thing fell apart and you were still a Coyote. And you'd said you understood the business of the game, but you loved this team.
Yeah.
You wanted to be with. There was something about this group, Keith, wasn't there?
Yeah, we had a great group of guys. I think we did a lot together. I mean, with our families, our wives, and we spent a lot of time together. And when you play on the West Coast, so you take a lot of road trips out east where you're going 4, 5, 6 games at least. So you spend a lot of time together, a lot of quality time, and the girls spent a lot of time together. We all started having kids at the same time, and it was just a good, solid group. And we had a lot of coaches. I wish we kept Shoney in there and let him finish what he started. And I thought he got a bit of a raw deal, but you know what? Hey, it is what it is. This is a sport of hockey. It's if you don't win, things are you got to make changes. And we're getting to that age where we're all kind of in that prime years, and it's just too bad, but that's the way it goes.
Well, it finally happened and you were traded. I have one last thing from Todd's garage here. Somebody sent this to me from St. Louis, from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. I've kept it because I'll never forget the day. I don't know if you can see the picture, but it's the picture of you being traded. You're leaving the ice den. It just happened. You're walking to your car and you let me talk to you only after you got out of the gate. You were no longer on Coyote property, rolled down the window, and I had a farewell interview with you. I know how you felt about going to St. Louis, and it's understandable, but how did you feel that day about finally leaving, cutting the cord, Stan, Coyotes, Arizona? What do you remember?
Yeah, it was, I knew it was going to happen. I just
Right.
was a matter of where and when, and then finally when it happened, you're prepared for it, but you're really not because, you have 2 kids, you just built a house, and I know Chantel loved it there. And obviously we had some great friends, Stan and Shelley Wilson, and all the trainers and some of my teammates, and but it was at the time it was tough, but it was best for me and it was best for the club moving forward. It just felt it was that time where something had to happen, but what, things work out for a reason. Got a chance to play in St. Louis, loved it here, I loved it in Arizona, and still a lot of great friends I still have here. And
I watched your last shift the other day on YouTube, and then I watched you skate away with your kids. You couldn't have written it any better that night, could you? Grabbing the last puck.
And I was going to thank Mike Caruso, but I also got to thank Rich and Aaron too, like 2 guys who do the same thing for both organizations, who think of great things to do. Like with my last game, that was all Mike Caruso. I know that. To have my kids out there, I had no idea what was going to happen. And then some of the things we've done, and with the 20th reunion with Rich setting things up and getting all things going. It's quality people like that, who think of so many great ideas for you and your family to make it even more special. And that was my last shift to do it in St. Louis. My parents were there, and Chantel was there, and all my kids. It was unreal. It was something I'll never forget.
Did Tyson Nash break your rib? Is that true?
He did. Like it was when he was with
the Coyotes. Oh, okay.
No, I don't think it was with the Coyotes. I think it was with St. Louis. I was with the Coyotes. I went to go hit him, and he was pretty. I mean, obviously he was physical. He was a stocky son of mine. He hit well, and I didn't think he thought I was going to hit him. Like he sold it. Like I didn't like. Oh, I'll catch Walt, and he got me pretty good. Yeah, he got me good.
Okay. He said you've been pissed at him for a while.
Never. I love Nasher. Just say to him, feeling good.
Oh,
He was
I've heard
warm-ups.
I hear it every day. One other last thing, Keith. Christian Fisher.
Yep.
Rick Tocchet was saying that you reached out to Rick early in the year about reaching out to Christian. Obviously, that's a fascinating story to me. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, I know the Fishers really well. We Matthew and Christian played against each other. Matthew's in St. Louis. Christian was in Chicago playing for the Mission, and we just got to know each other. And we all, when we decided, both kids got picked for the National Development Team program, we decided to rent a house together. And Mike Fisher, Christian's dad, lived up there most of the time, and we kind of came in and out. So we got to spend 2 great years with them, got to know them, and did so much, went on vacations with them. And, you just, like I said, I love watching my kids, but I root for all the kids that I know, my kids know, that we grew up with, that we played against, that we became friends with. And I want to see these kids all do well. I really do. And I want to do whatever I can. Like, I'm one of those guys that not only do I try to help my kids out, hey, you're doing it, just try this one time, and I do that for Luke Cunnin, who I've coached here, who plays in Nashville, Christian Fisher, who I've known since he was a young boy, or Clayton Keller, Christian Dvorak. I might even, say something to Matthew to tell Christian or something, So it's just little things like that. I root for the kids that I know because I want to see them live a great life. I want to see them enjoy what I've enjoyed in this game of hockey.
Christian seems like the kind of guy that would listen and absorb that. Am I right?
Yeah. I mean, he's got that big body, big frame, that power forward frame that you want to, use to his advantage and to try to, take him to that next level. But, he's a young boy. He's only 23, turning 24 maybe. So, it's a special time for these kids, and I want to see them enjoy it and try to help them all as much as possible.
Keith, I've told you this a few times. I've told all the guys on those earliest teams, you were hockey pioneers here. You guys paved the way, but it all started with you. And this has been kind of a personal journey for me as well. So I'm going to have to do this in conclusion. I'm not sitting here doing this, if not for all of you, but specifically you. I will admit this freely. When I finally cut my mullet and I was hired by Mike Conley at Fox Sports Arizona, he said to me, one of the reasons why I got that job, the only job I've ever really wanted, was this one. It was because of the way you guys spoke to me and the way you treated me. So I thank you for that from the bottom of my heart.
You're a great guy, Todd. I mean, I love the passion. I mean, you need that, and it makes us more excited to be able to engage with guys like you. And I'm glad to see you guys doing well. How many years now is it for you?
35 here on the air, 25 with the Coyotes.
Wow, it's amazing. Good for you, buddy. Good for
But I've said this to everybody, Keith. It's a hard sport. It doesn't come easy if you don't play it.
Yeah.
And you guys always made it easy for us to follow this and to figure it out. And once we figure it out, I learned something new every night. But once you figure out what it takes to go out there every single night, you respect the sport, and the sport always gives it back. And that starts with you. I can't not say that enough. So thanks, man.
I appreciate it.
That's from my heart.
Thank you.
Hope you had fun, man. This was great.
This is awesome. Thanks for that surprise with all those guys. It made my day. Tom for channel. If Tom would have stayed on this whole time.
Oh, you want to know how many times he's texted me?
Don't give out my number, please.
Oh no, that'll never happen. No. I don't even know how I got mine.
Buddy. Take care. Tell
love
Steve
you,
and the boys I said hello, and Rich Nair and Billy Armstrong. Tell Talk I said hello.
I will. No, say hi to Chantel for me, will you?
Absolutely, buddy. Take care.
Thanks, Keith.